Welcome to History Chapter 1 Part 2. In the previous session we discussed the need to remember dates in history. We also looked at how to sequence the events and happenings when we write a history. Now we are going to discuss the various sources used by historians to frame history. First of all, we shall learn what is colonial period or how colonization occurred in India. In our history textbook, we will study how Britishers conquered our country and established their role subjugating the local Nawabs and Rajas. They forced Indians to sell their goods at low prices and made them produce the crops that the Britishers needed. The Britishers also brought changes in our economy, culture, customs, values and tastes. We call this process as colonization. When the subjugation of one country by another leads to political, economic, social and cultural changes, it is called colonization. In the upcoming chapters, we will learn how the Britishers subjugated the local Indian rulers and took control of our economy and country. Colonization occurs when a country or a nation takes control of other lands, regions or territories. Usually, it is a more powerful, richer country that takes control of a smaller, less powerful region or territory and make it their colony. Thus, India was made British colony. In this book, we will come to know about the political, economic and cultural changes brought by the British rule in India. However, you will find that all groups and classes in Indian society did not experience these changes in the same way. So, now the question arises, how we know about all the happenings and their time period? Let us get to know this. How do we know? Historians rely on different sources for writing history, such as administration records, surveys, diaries of people, accounts of pilgrims and travelers, autobiographies of important personalities and so on. One of the important sources for writing Indian history is the records of the British administration. The Britishers believed that each and every policy, plan, decision and agreement should be recorded so that it could be studied and debated if needed. This led to an administrative culture of writing memos, reports, etc. The British also felt that all important documents should be preserved. So, record rooms were maintained within the office of Tahsildars, the collectorate, commissioner's office and law courts. Specialized institutions like archives and museums were made in order to preserve important records. An archive is a place in which public records or historical materials are preserved. Archive is an extensive record or collection of data. When New Delhi was built, both the National Museum and the National Archives were located close to the palace of the Viceroy. This reflects the importance these institutions had in British imagination. In the early years of 19th century, calligraphists or the one who writes beautifully were also appointed in order to copy the important documents. With the spread of printing, multiple copies of these records were printed as proceedings of each government department. Now let us see how the surveys become important. The practice of surveying became very important during the time of Britishers because they believed that a country had to be properly known before it could be effectively administered. They wanted to know India in order to administer it properly. So, by the early 19th century, detailed surveys were carried out to map the entire country. In the villages, revenue surveys were conducted to know the topography. Topography means the physical characteristics of an area of land, especially the position of its rivers, mountains, etc. The surveys were conducted to know the soil quality, to know the flora and fauna, or to know the plants and animals, and to know the local histories and the cropping patterns in the agriculture. From the end of the 19th century, census operations were held every 10 years to prepare the records of the number of people in all the provinces of India. Census operations were also used for noting information on caste, religions, and occupation. There were many other surveys like botanical survey, archaeological survey, forest survey, zoological survey, and anthropological surveys. So what we can say is that we can get a lot of information from the surveys conducted by the Britishers. But these were not sufficient to serve as a source to know history of India as a whole. There are certain things what official records do not tell. No doubt we get a good amount of information from these surveys and all, but we should know that these surveys were recorded according to the point of view of the British officers. They tell us what the British officials thought and what they were interested in. In order to know what other people of our country felt and the reasons behind their actions, we need to look for other sources such as diaries of people, autobiographies of important personalities, account of pilgrims and travelers, popular booklets, newspapers, ideas of leaders, poets, and social reformers. All these serve as a good source to write the history. As printing was introduced and spread, newspapers were published and issues were debated in public. Leaders and reformers wrote to spread their ideas. Poets and novelists wrote to express their feelings. All these sources were produced by literate or those who could read and write. But from these sources also we cannot understand how history was experienced and lived by the uneducated people or the people like tribals, peasants, the workers in the mines or the poor on the streets. Getting to know their lives is a more difficult task. In our textbook, Our Past, you will see how we can get to know about the lives of tribals, peasants, mine workers, and the poor on the street. We will discuss about it in the following chapters. Please subscribe the channel and share the videos with your classmates if you have found it useful. Thank you for watching.